Welcome to the podcast, What the Flex, where I talk to badass women about their health, wellness, and fitness journeys. My name is Uta, and I am your host. In this episode, I am speaking with Lana Brandorne, a former competitive horse rider turned bodybuilder who is redefining strength, both physically and mentally. Lana shares what drew her to bodybuilding, the challenges of finding the right coach, and intense realities of competition prep. If you don't know what that is, you should definitely stay tuned. We dive into the mental and physical struggles that come with the sport, the pressures of maintaining a certain physique, and how she balances a demanding career in fintech with her fitness journey. She also opens up about self-imposed expectations, the importance of a support system, and the life lessons she has learned along the way that also you could learn something from. And now, keep flexing, enjoy listening. A very warm welcome to my today's guest. I'm having Lana Brandorne here. And I want to cut right to the chase because we will speak about very, very cool things today and also things that I'm personally very passionate about. So Lana, tell us a little bit about yourself. Who are you and how did you become the person that is sitting here today?
Yeah, absolutely. It's so nice being here with you. And we had a little chat before, and I think we share the same passions, and it's really great to talk about these things here today. I'm Lana. I'm born in Latvia. I lived abroad for quite many years. The past 10 I've spent in Sweden. I grew up riding horses for about 10, 12 years. And I really loved the competition side of things and just like seeing a horse being in preparation from like a young, inexperienced baby to like going to competitions. And that was like my favorite thing that like really took my heart. And then when I moved abroad to study and to work, I had to put that passion on the side. And then I got very much focused to my career. I worked a lot at doing different things. And at some point, I had a business coach and she told me, girl, you need to have hobbies because you will burn yourself out if you are, if you're not taking something that fills your soul as well. And, by that time I've had 3 burnouts already. So I took her advice to heart.
Wow.
And me being the absolute maximalist I am, I can't do things just a little bit. I came back the next week and I told her, I think I'm going to compete in bodybuilding competition because that looks like a lot of fun. And that's not at all what she meant. Nevertheless, I had decided already. And so I found a coach and I started my first preparation that took 12 months. And I got so taken by the process, which by far was not as fun as I thought it would be. And, I love the sparkles and the heels and the little girly things. And, from the 12 months that it's preparing for something, the sparkles and the heels are just 10 minutes. And the rest is very different story. Somehow good, maybe I was not aware of what it will entail and how it will change my life. But, 4 years later, I couldn't imagine. I'm so grateful I started this and how it has changed my life for the better. Let me reflect and introspect and just find a new way of life that I today really much enjoy.
Nice. Thank you. By the way, you also work in fintech, and I just realized now that you said you also grew up with horses. We have all those 3 things in common. Like I also grew up with horses, like was then focused. I had to give that up kind of. Then I moved into fintech, like focused on my career, and also right now focusing on bodybuilding. Another thing that we have in common. So cool. But let's dive a little deeper into your decision-making process. Your coach told you had to find a hobby. Why bodybuilding? Was it just about the sparkles or what? How did it even get your awareness?
This will sound so silly, but I just saw this really amazingly she just looked like a Amazonian queen warrior. And she had just won this competition, and she won a sword, not like a statue, but a sword.
I know.
And I saw the sword, and I went, I want that, the sword. I want to win a sword, and really that was my kind of carrot. And I had no idea where to win swords, or I still have not won a sword today. But I had it like I want to win a sword, and that for a brief moment that was like a primary motivation. I had to then change the motivation a little bit because once you're starving and tired and don't have will to live for a brief moment. You're like, I couldn't care less about trinkets. So you need to change the motivation. But then you're so deep in, and my coach is like, you really need to find your why. And I'm like, okay, maybe a sword is not quite the why, but still, it was a good start. And I still would love to win a sword.
Absolutely. I'm just waiting for the day where I see pictures of you all over social media with a sword in your hand.
And tears. And they're like, you don't understand what this sword means to me.
Exactly. Oh my God, that is hilarious. Super cool. And how did you find a coach? Because I do think it is a little bit of a challenge because A, there are so many coaches out there, and B, how do you find the right one that you have connection with, that you know is going to support you and can actually advise you on what to do? How did you find your coach? And are you still working with her or him?
So the process was that it had to be a coach that has competed herself and understands the thing I'm doing, right? So of course, just getting anyone like a regular fitness trainer that hasn't been through the process, I very quickly like deemed that would not be suitable. So then I went on a search. I looked at different coaches, and I found this one Polish girl that lives in US, and something really clicked with her. So the first 6 months I trained with her, and she was amazing support, and I'm still in touch with her, and she's so lovely and inspiring and just kick ass. But then the reason I changed her was because she was in US and she was competing in NPC and I was competing in IFBB, and she was not aware of the regulations and rules. And especially the first competition was planned in Sweden, and I got so lost about what federation do I need to be part of, like how the associations, how it worked. And then one of my friends knew a coach. She's been competing for 25 years. Wow, yeah. And she's 54 now, and it's just like, yes, that's goals, that I want that for me in my life. And I reached out to her, and she's so high energy and so passionate about what she does. And so I started to compete with her, and it was also, I needed to be part of association. So then she signed me up through Delta Club in Sweden. And so the first 2 competitions I did under that name. It went well, but she had some also health issues. So the first 2 competitions I went to, she was not able to be there in person. And on the day it was challenging without having a coach on the spot. And it's especially the first one. I remember she just told me, yeah, eat 700 grams of potatoes boiled. And I went without salt. And I was like in one go, or how, like when, like it was, I was so confused because she just like sent me a brief text message about what I should do, like cut water at this hour and don't consume salt from that time, and eat potatoes. And I was like, it's okay, I'm doing this for fun, it's fine. But I messed up on the day a bit with things. So I didn't feel out in the right timings and proportions, and I had like no control, and I still I really much enjoyed the day. My husband was there and my close friend, and we had such a trip. And it was to this point funny where I had no idea that you need to do the registration in the bikini on the heel, like show the heels, and they need to approve it. I had gone to this registration to do the first layer of tan, and I see everyone is kind of like getting dressed, and I'm like, ooh, and I'm in an Airbnb 20 minutes away, and I'm panic calling my husband's like, I need my heels, I need my this, and he's like, I'm trying. And then eventually I borrowed another girl's heels. She was so sweet, and then she hooked me up with the stuff, and I passed the registration. But for a while I got a bit stressed there. And then also the first time I kind of thought like, I need to really pump, and I need to do all these things, and I didn't let myself rest, so there was this stress and cortisol, and that in my perception was the right thing to do, but it wasn't. So it was also like a bit more watery look than it was the day before. So I feel like it could have been better. And then the second competition, kind of similar scenario happened, and she wasn't able to join. So I thought, okay, I need a coach that is there for me. And then while I was training at this one gym, met also this amazing woman. She's a detective, a mother of 3, training for many, many years. And we're like at the gym vibing. And one day she just comes up to me. She's like, "Well, you inspired me. I also will compete."
I love
I'm
it.
like, "Oh."
Yeah.
And she's like, "Who are you training with?" And then she told me who her coach was. And then through her, I got in touch with Elisabetta, who is still my coach today. She has her Unique Fitness Association. We're team of 7, I think, women now. And now 2 of the athletes are competing in Lucia Pokalen in Sweden on the 2nd of December, I think, or 5th of December. And I will not compete, but there. She hooked me up with tanning job. So now like I've been helping out this tanning company time after time. And that is honestly the best job I've ever had. I'm up close to all these athletes with my, and it's like the most fun side gig. You're like corporate finance. And then what are you doing this weekend? Oh, I'm tanning all these really nice bodybuilders.
Yeah. Wow. Maybe for context for the listeners, because you've been talking about IFBB Pro and NPC, those are like, there are several associations out there under which you can compete, and each association, they have their specific rules and there are specific classes under which you compete in. I was like, also in the beginning, what is all this? I have no clue. And how do I choose where to go if I ever want to compete and stuff? But
I think
how,
if you're in US, there's a choice because there's so many
yeah,
shows under each of those. And in Europe, at least in Sweden, it has been only IFBB Federation, and last year was the first NPC competition, but it's only once a year. My posing coach, she competes in NPC, and she's like really trying to get me over to that club
yeah,
because I know she's like, the way you like you're posing way better for NPC class, and I probably agree with her. The side pose is like, yeah, but the back and front it would be good. So she's
nice.
trying to convince me to switch.
Which class are you competing in?
Bikini fitness.
Bikini. Okay, what's specific about bikini fitness and bikini? Is that a difference still, or
I think it's the same. Bikini
it's the
fitness.
same?
Yeah.
It's the same. Okay. How do
I
you?
think my goal would, or not goal, but I've been entertaining a thought to switch to wellness because I'm naturally gifted and my ass is big.
Yeah. For those who not know, the wellness class has very big, like it's important to have big glutes, right? So nice.
Glutes and quads and all that. So I'm not there yet. Like if you look at I'm not a pro. I'm amateur. But if you look at the bikini pros and wellness pros, it feels for me the wellness look is already a bit much for my personal taste. So I like the bikini look that's quite like the one in US. That what's her name now? That just won the
Laurelie Chep.
Laurely Chap, like her physique, dream, like amazing. But in Sweden, the bikini girls, they're really thin and not so muscular, and I like that little more muscular look.
Same.
So the wellness category in Sweden, how they judge it, for me feels like a bit better fit. But
Yeah.
if I look at the actual, the best of the best in the world, then probably bikini is
Yeah.
preferable.
Yeah. Interesting. Completely agree. I also have Laurelie on my radar, follow her on Instagram and stuff. And do maybe to switch to one of the topics that we also spoke about when we prepared for this podcast. You naturally, if you decide you want to go into bodybuilding, at some point you see someone and you be like, oh wow, she looks nice. I think I can do that too, or I want to do that too. And you wonder, I wonder if I can look like that, or if my body can look like that.
But I think it's important to know that our body just look how it looks, right? So
Exactly.
the way our
Yes.
muscles are positioned and the way we will lose fat in certain areas or not, and how we build muscle in certain areas, it's gonna always be unique. So whatever we do, it's not that you can point out. It's like, oh, I want to look like this, and then now you're
Yeah.
gonna train for that. No, it's gonna be how it's gonna be.
That is true. And exactly that's the reason why you need a really good coach that can see what does your physique look like and how do we need to train and stuff. And that's why I think it's also very important to not just copy what other people do. Or I see her doing this workout, so I'm going to do the same so I get the same body. It's just not how it works.
And I also
Um,
understand where in the cycle you are. Like maybe you just need to put on mass, so you will focus on different training. And then when you actually need the sculpting phase, like which like okay, I need to maybe broaden my shoulders, then you put more effort into that. And so you have to understand where you are. Your coach needs to understand where you are and put the right program in place that's for that.
exactly. And maybe to speak a little bit about the journey as well. When you talked about your first competition and your coach told you have to eat potatoes and you were like, why and when and stuff. I'm literally there. Sometimes my coach takes me something and I just can I ask her why now? Do I have to know this? I know so little, but she's always there. She always says, just text me with whatever, like just bombard me. There's no stupid question. How and when did you figure out the sword isn't the best thing about this? Like, it's not about the sword anymore. I have way bigger problems and pains to deal with right now. When did you get to that point where it stopped being this glorified bodybuilding world of sparkles and glitters and nice bikinis and looks? And what was it? What happened?
I think in the prep itself, it's finding the balance to get actually everything done. When you build a career and then you're trying to do this, like something has to go. Usually it's the social life, usually it's the friends, usually it's the kind of like life as you know. It becomes just gym and training. And the
Lana,
way I said things,
can you explain real quick what is prep? If anyone hasn't heard of this yet, maybe we have listeners that don't know what it is. What does prep mean in
I guess
bodybuilding?
there's two components. It's of course it's the training and diet. And once you get a hang of it, I think it can be quite efficient. Like, you have depends if you're flexible dieting or if you have a meal plan, right? If you have a meal plan, it's boring. You eat the same thing over and over again. But from efficiency point of view, you know how much to buy, you know how to weigh it, you know how to prepare it, you box it up, it's there, and it takes much less time actually if you're like every day wondering what am I going to eat today, like you take away that decisioning process of your life. And for me it has been like enabling so much. So there's periods where I love it. It's like I don't have to think about it. Then the training part, it's like putting that into your structure. And everyone has, for me what works the best is like I wake up, I do my cardio, I go to work, maybe I take a walk at lunchtime, and then I go and train after work. And that's for me works well. Then I come home, I have my dinner, and then it's already kind of winding for bedtime type of thing. But not everyone wants to live like that. People want to have flexibility. And if you want to have flexibility, that's difficult. I mean, it's months on months on months doing the same thing over and over again. And that in itself can be mentally difficult. But I also think when you have the goal to go to, it's somehow easier. For me, the really challenging part was post-competition. The no
Yeah.
goal, the hunger has been like, you've been just, the first year, my Instagram feed was just food. I don't know why I tortured myself like that, but I would just like scroll and watch these cakes being made and been obsessing over it. And I would be so hungry. I was like, this is not normal. And then when, the competition went over, then it was like the hell broke loose because, I want to stop. I cannot. And it got so scary. It was also Christmas time and I was in Spain with my friends and and they just had this breakfast to dinner. The table was always set because the guy in the relationship was like part American and they do this like breakfast brunch, always food on the table. And I couldn't stop. I haven't had sugar in months and now I'm like overloading it. And at some point, like there were nights where it was like 3 a.m. and I need to go and puke. And I think to myself, wow, this is eating disorder in making. And at the time I also had a friend that had been through 16 years of fighting bulimia. And because it's hard for other people to understand what you're going through. Then I just stop. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
cannot, it's hard to understand if you're not in there. It's like, what do you mean you cannot? And like having some conversations with that friend, like she helped me also through like the mental processes. Logically I know that this is not normal. And that first year I think I put on like 13 kilos in like 4 weeks. And the shame and the embarrassment and you're like the fitness girl now and you just explode and nothing fits anymore. And the body dysmorphia that, the yeah, you're just like used to this new you, and it just explodes, and it's like everything looks horrible. I can't look at the mirror for a while, and then it's like, okay, I need to get back on track, start training again, like getting normal, like the hormones start balancing, so the hunger cues normalize a bit. Yeah, the second time around, I needed the psychologist to help me through this, so it can be challenging. Yeah, but the first year I did like this happened, and I went back to the gym. That was like the Delta gym was like hardcore bodybuilder gym. Everyone does bodybuilding there. And I told this to one of the girls in the gym, and she's like, "Yeah, it's normal." And I'm like, "What do you mean it's normal?" She's like, "Yeah, it happens to everyone." And it was just so she's also pro level, so I'm like, "How are you so chill about this? This is not normal at all."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Yeah, I lost my period. It hasn't come back." She's like, "It's okay." And I'm like, "How is it okay? It's not okay." And I started reading a lot about it and the consequences that it does on our bodies.
Yeah.
It's actually really serious, and the sport almost this it's normal. It's gonna pass. And of course we recover. Yes, our bodies are extremely resilient, but we don't know what the long-term consequences from that is. So, brittle bones only appear when you're like later 60, 70, and then you break your hip, and then it's, goodbye.
Yeah, that is true. And I think people don't talk about this enough. And what I personally have a problem with is this, oh yeah, that's normal, happens to everyone. And it's for most, I think it starts with this, oh my God, this looks so nice. I can look like that, so I'm going to get into this and I'll do this. And then later on, you figure out how unhealthy this prep can be because you're doing this over months. I don't know how long you've been doing this, half a year or how long, how many
First was
months?
12 months, second time was 8 months.
Wow.
Because I
Okay.
had
So
gained so much weight. So, if you keep to the near stage weight, I think what's normally, like, at least the professionals try to do, right?
yeah,
But, first year happened, it was just uncontrollable. Second year came around, and I thought, oh, I'm smarter this time. And fuck no, I'm not.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
it's not smart. It's just like, how do I cope with this?
yeah, exactly. And there are so many things like you struggle so much. You are hungry all the time. Food, food, food. Like you move from I meal prep when you're building or stuff. That's where I am. You don't think about food. You just eat, because I prepare everything for the week. I completely remove this decision making of food every day until you get to the point where you think about food all the time. And then you have this body. And I think we're also weirdly socialized. The thinner, the better. And then it's that short period of time you get used to it and you think and you want to keep this body and suddenly you gain 13 kilograms again. That's like going up and down in such a short period of time. And you're saying that in the second time around or second season, you worked with a psychologist. And do you think you could have dealt with that on your own?
Yes, but I believe in coaching, and I believe in help and getting things faster done, and mentors. And so now I'm also like, I have another psychologist. It's not that I have major issues, but like I do it because I know it's helpful.
Yeah.
Same with coaches. I swap them sometimes around. I try something new because
Yeah.
they know something and I can learn something. But it's at the end, it's like these mental hacks, and then catching yourself in those kind of spirals, whether they're positive or negative. Negative, then kind of how to reverse it. And then also these kind of, I don't know how many, do you eat like traditional 6 meals a day?
No.
No, okay, good. That for me messed up my eating so much because I've been eating 6 times a day. First of all, my body got used to eating every 2-ish hours. And then the second of all, of course, on the every 2-ish hours, I had like these tiny portions that I ate, and I still felt super hungry. So I've never felt this satiated feeling. And then when I went off, I'm like, I still wanted to eat 6 times a day. But then there was no this limit, right? And then for me, like on the third season, I figured out that for me, the 6 times a day is not going to work. So it's like I will eat 4 times a day because I can sustain that throughout. Like I can still eat today 4 times a day, and pre-workout, post-workout, like breakfast and lunch. And that for me has worked really well. So just changing those things that we learn, and then we adopt what works for us. And I think what I did wrong is just that, I was being told, and I just, good girl, like, yes, sir, tell me what to do, I'll do it, instead of thinking more of, hey, does this thing actually works for me or not?
Yeah.
Like with the morning cardio, the fasted cardio. And I said, it doesn't matter. You can do your cardio anytime. It's just like, does this fit your structure, your routine, and can you sustain that? Maybe not so extreme, but can some of it, those elements, can you sustain also without the prep? So for me, morning cardio works. That I don't maybe do morning cardio right now, but I wake up and I go for a walk. The routine kind of stays the same, but then I can adjust it where needed. And then it's not such a huge jump from off season on season. I think that has been helpful.
What else could you, or what other advice could you give to someone that is in a position, for example, like myself? I'm looking at my first competition. I'm looking at my first like post competition, and I'm a little scared, to be honest. What's the number one thing or habit that or advice that you have for someone to not get into this downward spiral and to go through it smoothly?
I can, of course, only speak from my own experience. What I underestimated is the importance of sleep. That for me is right now the top priority. And my first and second season, I would just be like, I need to get my cardio, I need to get my training, I need to get my work done. If sleep has to go, then I will sleep. And at some point, when the cortisol hits high and the body kind of basically says like, oh, you're hungry, get up and go eat. Like I would sleep those 4 hours, 5 hours, and I would feel like, yeah. But I didn't realize how that increases my hunger even more. And then managing stress. My peak week was it the first or second time? I don't remember. The first time. I also had the largest conference running in another country. We were flying in like, I don't know, 50 people there, organizing an event for 800 people. I'm there on the stage and it's my peak week. Yeah, my schedule starts at 5 o'clock in the morning. Then, like the cardio, I go to the hotel, boil me 20 hard-boiled eggs. Yes, I need them. Run to the conference, rehearse, like do things. Then like try to get a nap on a bench because I cannot sustain myself. And then like trying to execute all these work things, getting the kind of training in. Then we have like the partner dinners. I'm there at the dinner, everyone's eating. I'm just like, water please. And just feeling miserable and hungry and like stressing myself unnecessary. And like the stress, it changes. Like it doesn't let you actually let go of the water weight, let go of the things. And so that was not great planning on my part, I guess, as well. So the stress and sleep is a big differentiator, I think.
Interesting. Yeah, it's certainly something that, I mean, it comes with the jobs, right? If you have that big event, I mean, it's this stress on the body. You can make it more stressful yourself, but just the mere fact that you have to get up so early and that you have such a full working day. But that leads me to the question, how did you manage to pull this off while working such a demanding job in fintech and organizing those events? Because I don't think this is it like next to your job or?
The brain just runs at half a capacity.
Okay.
And I don't know if you experience this, but I get hangry. So I'm kind of hard to tolerate. The last 2 months, I get very pissy and a lot of things can set me off. And I can, now I'm a very happy person in general. But when I'm hangry, I can like, no. And, there was like this one time I got into like a harsh conversation with this colleague because I felt like, what are you, like, just say the things that you need to say. Why do you need to blab for 10 minutes, and like just say it in 3 words that's all it needs. You don't say it to colleagues.
I guess you did.
In a meeting in front of everyone. She was so upset with me, rightfully so. But like, and it's like these kind of irritations. And then I told you this story already. My husband, the first prep, he was really struggling because he does not live this life. And then we keep laughing. The second time around, he's like, he moved to another country.
Yeah.
So I'm a bitch,
My God.
But then I had this like the morning meditations for me. Like I'm doing my 1 hour of Stairmaster cardio. And I literally go like, no one deserves to have this kind of attitude for me. And just premeditatively saying like, I want to bring these qualities into life. I want to have this kind of personality. And like really settling in this and like, first of all, thinking about how I want to show up into this world. And then like, this is how, and going through scenarios and what is kindness in these scenarios? What is grace in these scenarios? like bringing good energy in the room and not, I'm hungry. Like, because no one told me to do this. I chose to do this. It's my decision to do this. Act with grace, I told myself, because no one needs to suffer because I'm suffering.
Did you tell people though what's happening? Like, did you give them a warning? Hey, everyone, I'm doing this and I'm moving into prep and things might get a little ugly with me. Did you warn them?
On the third season, I very much
Okay.
pre-warned the people that needed to be warned. But now with I think one of my colleagues, they're like, so this year are you competing now on like in this period? I'm like, no, I'm not. He's like, thank God, thank God. And I was like, was it so hard? Yeah, you're kind of to deal with. Sorry.
Oh my God. Oh my God. But Lana, did you actually in that time feel like that your work suffered from doing bodybuilding or the other way around?
Generally, like if you look at this 12 months perspective, it's improving because I'm so much more structured, right? Also, stopped using alcohol. So on Mondays, I'm a Miss Sunshine. Life is great,
Yeah.
I can start with like good way. There's also something that happens in a way when kind of you are like this fit and strong and like the confidence increases and there's a level of, I don't know, this kind of self-respect that radiates true. So I really feel that in professional settings, the attitude towards myself changes everyone else's attitude. So I feel very heard, very respected, very, can take up space and not be afraid of taking up space. Because walking into that weight room being now it's not so like the only woman, but like, sometimes you are there hustling, bustling, something like doing your lateral raises. And it's like, that helps. But there's this period when the body fat percentage really starts getting low and there's no energy and the mental capacity is simply not there. And then doing simple things like, oh, I need to figure out how to coordinate this Excel sheet into something that makes sense. And it's just, I cannot figure this out. And I know that I can figure this out because I've figured it out before, similar, and now I cannot get it. And so there is, yeah, sometimes it can be a bit difficult. And my friend that is an investigator, she competed once, and she also says she's like, because she interrogates people, right? So she's really good at that. And she's like, I don't understand what I'm asking them, and I need to figure out what they are saying, right? Like I need to analyze them, and I'm overthinking the question that I'm trying to put together so I can ask them. It's like I cannot. Like this is too difficult.
It's so like it really affects the very simple things where you, as you say, your brain just operates on half the capacity and you just sit there. I just try to imagine it. It must be like brain fog tenfold. I don't know.
Something like that, yeah. And I keep telling myself that one can do this in a healthy, good way, healthy, good manner. And then it's always interesting because it's like for a body for brain, right? We need carbs, right? So we need that kind of sugar for that. And so how do I plan my eating around that I can both perform at the training but also at work, right? So breakfast kind of has to be a bit more high carb, and then the carbs need to be equally split between before and after the training, right?
Yeah.
But then there's so little. And
Yeah.
then for hormonal health, you need a sufficient amount of fats. So if my coach puts in less than 45 grams of fats in my meal plan, I'm like, girl, this is not going to work.
Yeah.
And then we have to fight about it because she's like, it's just for a week. And I'm like, I don't believe you because, week often goes into another week. And, and then there's these sleep ups, you're like, I cannot have peanut butter in my meal plan because I cannot eat 10 grams of peanut butter.
That's just too little. I know.
Yes. Give me almonds for nothing, no problem. But if I have a peanut butter jar at home and I am in a bad state of mind, somewhere usually 5 days before my period.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
It's going to be
out of sight, out of mind is the notion here. Okay.
Yeah. And you don't know this until like for some people it's not an issue, it's like 10 grams, it's 10 grams.
Yeah. And Lana, there's something that I really want to touch upon as well that we've been speaking about. You mentioned the good girl syndrome. Yeah, you're smiling. It's something I guess that comes with I don't know, all touches all of us that we see, right? What is the good girl syndrome for you, and how has it affected your life, your prep, your work life?
I think one part is like trying to be perfect, but perfect doesn't exist. So we define whatever perfect is in our own beautiful heads. And then we try to live up to that standard of whatever that is, thinking that that's what's expected from us by ourselves, by people around us. And what my lessons have been is that I think what we shared before, I said, I felt so guilty for not being what I thought a good friend is to my friends. And I struggled with that thought so much.
Yeah.
And then post competition, they're like, we're having this social thing and I'm there with my girlfriends and I'm like, so sorry I've been out of your lives for half a year. And they kind of looked at me and they're like, what are you talking about? Like, we know what you're doing. Like, you still like, we feel like that you're there, but we don't expect anything from you. And it was almost like, wait, what is all these expectations? Because if they don't expect, like, obviously it's like self-imposed expectations of who I need to be, but that other person doesn't necessarily think or feel that. So I felt, so much love and care, and I don't know if like I feel very happy and lucky with my friends and partners that I've always had a lot of support. Never really had anyone telling me that, oh, you cannot do this, you shouldn't do this, or maybe some random people that I couldn't care less about. But like the people I love, they've been very supportive. So I'm definitely lucky with that. That it's difficult. It's also difficult for partners to be there if they don't live the lifestyle.
Yeah.
Or even friends, I had this one instance. Now she switched completely. But when I just started doing this, and she's like, "I'm dating this new guy. Lana, come meet him." We're like, "Okay." And we come to his place, and I come with my sparkling water, and usually I drink wine. And she's like, "Yeah, and then I come with my lunchbox, and I'm like, "Hi, where's the microwave? I'm gonna warm up my food." And I'm sitting there on the floor with my sparkling water and my lunchbox, and they're drinking wine, and this guy is just like, this is a bit weird. And my friend is like, oh, she's like, yeah, usually she's much more fun. Like, she's not like this. This is like, and she like started with all these excuses towards him. And then I got pissed because like, girl, what? Like, I'm just doing my thing. You don't have to defend me. Like, and if he judges, like, fuck him. I don't care. And then I felt like she doesn't support what I'm doing. And then I think like a year later, I had this conversation with her and I got angry. And then I was like, if you cannot handle this, then you're just out of my life until I'm done with this. And then she's like, I do support you. And I'm like, okay.
Interesting. And you only spoke to her a year later about that.
I think there was few other things that kind of got, because, things happen once. I'm like, don't care. Twice.
Yeah.
And then like at some point it's like, okay, now I need to have this conversation because,
Yeah.
because you can't blame her either. Like, she's used to me being in a certain way, and all of a sudden I'm like another person. That's not the friendship she signed up for.
That is true, yeah. And it is something to deal with also. Not, I mean, for you, big time, yeah, but everyone else around you as well. Did you feel like people had expectations like at you at work as well, or on you at work as well? Or did you also just put those expectations on yourself? Like, did you feel anything in your work relationships as well?
Nothing in relation to prep. Like, everyone was I had some customer meetings that were just like almost like hilarious, but because they loved it too. Like, I had this one instance where we're going to a restaurant on a 9-course dinner with this customer. And I know we're going there, so I'm like calling up this restaurant and saying, okay, I'm a bit high maintenance. I can eat 120 grams of salmon and some green vegetables to it and serve it as the second dish. And the restaurant is trying to accommodate. And I'm already hungry. They're having their food, laugh, wine. Now they finally bring me this like plate. And the customer is like, oh, you're not going to eat? And I'm like, yeah, I tell them what to do. That respect, like, that's so cool. You do you. So like, all support. And now they come with this salmon, and I take one look, and I'm like, that is not 120 grams of salmon. And like, excuse me, that's not right. I ordered that, and that's not right. And they're like, how would you know? And I'm like, I can see. I was like, if you want, we can go and wait, and I can show. And then we go, and I go to the kitchen, and they like wait in front of me, and of course I'm right because I've been weighing every single thing. So I
Was
know
it too much or too little?
Was 80 grams instead of 120.
Oh, okay.
So, I'm already hungry, and now they're like taking away my one food.
Yeah.
So I'm like, feed me, I'm starving. And yeah, so the waiter was a bit like, what a good eye you have. I'm like,
Yeah,
thank you.
that definitely is very like nitty-gritty down to the detail. But I mean, you went through some very like out of the box stuff, even calling up restaurants and stuff like that. That's
Oh
some
my God, traveling
determination.
with all the lunch boxes.
Yeah. And you've been traveling a lot, I guess, also for your job and things, right? You travel a lot in general.
It's like an average amount, like, yeah.
Yeah.
So not too little, not too much, but then let's say I go somewhere for 3 days. I need to food prep all the 3 days with me because I cannot do this in a hotel. And then this one time I put this suitcase on the belt in the through the
Mm.
airport security, and this chicken curry stuff leaking out of the suitcase.
No.
Yeah, and then I learned, you can't bring like queso or like cottage cheese over because that's apparently a liquid, but a meal box with chicken and vegetables and that's kind of like also wet-ish. That's
Yeah.
fine, and I'm like, that's kind of interesting, yeah. And then I had this one festival I went to in Amsterdam, and they're not letting in any kind of personal food, but the festival starts in the morning, and then not in the morning, but yeah, like 10 a.m. and then it goes until midnight. And obviously I need to eat, and
Yeah.
they don't let you go in and out anymore. So I had to get in touch with someone like running the marketing department. It's like a festival of 60,000 people. And I'm like email chain, and I happened to stay in the same hotel where the executive team was staying. And I'm connecting with this girl, and I'm like, listen, I have this issue. I need to bring in my cod.
Yeah.
That's all I can eat, my cod. And there's nothing like that at the festival site. And she's like, emailing one manager, emailing another one. Oh no, talk to this marketing lady. And then eventually the marketing lady like writes me an official email that I'm allowed to bring in my broccoli and cod. And I'm there, the
My
security.
God.
I haven't eaten. Because the first day they threw it out, and I'm like, my
Okay.
food.
My God. You definitely went to some lengths just to take your food and to live your life as you normally live it.
Yeah,
Wow.
but I'm also trying to do it all. I think if
Yeah.
I think you don't have to put yourself through those things, but I love to live my life, and I want to live it fully, and
Yeah. I mean, you did say it also when we prepared for this episode, if you want something, if you have a goal, you are determined and you just go after it no matter the cost. And that's definitely going after it no matter the cost, I guess.
I think the
Nice.
hardest one for me was having a really tough months at work. And it
Yeah.
was last month before competition. And I had sent in check-in morning pictures to my coach. And we had like 4 weeks left. And she's like, the conditioning is not there. I think this was second season. Yeah. The conditioning is not there. I think let's do the one in December instead of the one in October. So we have some more time to prepare. And
Mm.
I'm already dealing with this work things, and then I got this message, and I had planned like a US trip right after the competition, and I'm like, I can't be on diet in that US trip, like no way I can do that. And I have this complete meltdown in this meeting room. I closed the doors, I like got on the floor, I cried for 2 minutes, I looked up, and I'm like, back together, let's go. And then I called my coach, and I'm like, no, we're doing this in October at any means possible. Figure this out. And she's like, we'll have to go extreme. And I said, we'll go extreme. And that was not good.
Okay, so
I
you
think
went to the US while being on peak week or
no,
on
no,
prep?
no, no,
No.
no. So wait, so didn't take her advice to compete later. I was like, we managed this in 4 weeks, and she's like, then we'll have to go extreme.
Got it.
And the extreme was there was like I think every other day was 900 calories or something, and then it was 1,200, and then it was like 2.5 hours of cardio a day, and I did that for 4 weeks at this goal, and I got on the stage and like was okay, but like I was unnecessary for my body. That was not
Yeah.
great.
Crazy, yeah. That's the tough part, right? Even if you stick to the regime, like to the point, it's not always guaranteed that you end up having the results or the package that you really bring to stage, I guess, right? So it can, even if you go through all the hassle, all the pain, you can still end up not being successful in that, right?
And
Yeah.
that's when I learned about the stress. Like, it's just, if your body is stressed, if your mind is stressed, then you're just like adding more stress on it. It's
Yeah.
not going to solve anything. It's just going to plateau, and you're going to stick there, and the body will just be uncooperative, and
Yeah.
you're like hitting the wall, and no matter how hard you push, it's just like,
Yeah.
it's not happening.
Totally. Lana, what is the number one thing that you have learned from this whole journey that you've been through that goes beyond the physical results that you have achieved?
Just one thing I don't know, but it's really made me reevaluate every aspect of my life. And through that process of through those years, like reprioritizing things, seeing that how other ways can be there to live has been the best. And then also like this kind of mental toughness, just proving yourself you can. His this kind of conviction comes handy in life, because it's like, I'll figure this out, I'll manage, because if I could manage that, I will manage this as well. Like, it's just like there's not so much fear in me. I'll take that opportunity, I'll try it out, I'll say yes, and I will not doubt or question myself so much. So
Beautiful.
that's nice.
Yes, absolutely. A beautiful message to end this episode. Can you share maybe for the listeners where they can find more of you and how they can connect with you?
Yeah, on personal matters, I guess it's Instagram, so Lana_Brandorne. Professional ones, it's LinkedIn, same, Lana Brandorne. Those are the two places I'm spending most time on, so feel free to connect.
Amazing. I'll put that in the show notes. Thank you so much, Lana, for this beautiful episode. I had such a great time to hear more from you, to hear about your journey. So yeah, big thank you.
Thank you for inviting me. Really happy to be here.
That's a wrap on this episode of What the Flex. I hope you found some inspiration and motivation from today's conversation. And if you love this episode, please do subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who needs to hear it. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. Just search for What the Flex and let's keep the conversation going. Until next time, keep pushing, keep growing, and as always, keep flexing.